Hello, Peace and Purpose family. It is Ivy Simmons, and I am here with us this fine day with Toni Jones, affirmation musician. I am sure you all have seen her and heard her music. Today, we're talking about affirmative action, building language and practices that support you. Toni, hello, hello, hello.
Hi, Ivy. I'm so happy to be here.
I know. Thank you for joining us. How are you? How are you?
Are you kidding me? I'm honored to be here. I'm doing great, closing out the year.
Strong. We've got a new
Strong,
album. I love
strong,
it.
but in ease.
Yeah. Because clearly you are in the studio right now, so you are in the work.
Yeah, but it's easy breezy over here. I just released the album, so I'm taking a breath, but I'm still in the studio. This is home for me.
I love it. I love it. So let's dive in a little bit.
Yeah.
You are an affirmation musician.
Yeah.
You've been a coach. You've worked with youth. You've done a lot of work that has
Yeah.
brought you to this point. Can you tell us a little bit how you got here and what kind of moved you toward this work?
This is one of my favorite things to talk about, because when I talk about this, it seems like I've been living out a movie, because the timeline of transitions and the evolution of how I've changed professionally and personally has led me to affirmation music. And so I would say, I mean, I can take a deep dive into the whole timeline, but I would say one of the monumental points in my life where my journey began and up to this point was when I went back to school to get my degree in psychology. And I knew I wanted to create a business around teaching and helping people understand their thought pathology and how it influences their behavior and how their behavior influences their experience. And so I was like, I don't want it to be too psychology and technical, but so I was like, wellness. Let's do wellness and well-being. What is the pain point that's happening with women? Because I knew I wanted my business to target women and high active, ambitious women. And I was like, oh, workaholism is an issue. That's a huge pain point for us. So I was like, I'm going to help women how to recover, prevent, and heal from workaholism. So I incorporated a lot of things I learned from psychology into that space with coaching, events, programming, and so on. And then at the same time, I was doing that part-time, but full-time, I was working as a dream director in high schools where organization hires entrepreneurs to impact school culture in positive ways through programming, coaching. So it was just such an alignment. I loved it. And I did that for about 6 years while I was running my business. And then 2018, I got to a point where I was, countering the boss bish era, culture of like, I'm gonna get a bag, I'm gonna win and get, become a millionaire in 6 days, And so I was experiencing a lot of my clientele and the women that I was servicing burning out from that type of mindset. Right. And so I was like, I have to create something where women can really believe they can put themselves first in a way that doesn't compromise the grind or the hustle or their productivity, because that was one of the pain points or limiting beliefs a lot of my clientele had. And so, through meditation and prayer, I got the idea of affirmation music, and long story short, I ended up going to LA for a month, wrote affirmations for the grown-ass woman. And I took all my journals, all the books, all the notes that I've had from different programmings that I've been a part of. And I wrote that album, came back, and, the rest is history. And I love to talk about the journey, because I'm like, man, I couldn't have planned this any better. So that's a little bit about, how I am here today with what I do.
Yes. So, and it has been, I mean, I know people from across the country, they'll like post something new, or I'll see like, oh, look at all these people I know. They know Toni too.
It's so fun.
It's amazing how you've touched people and reached people, and it really resonates, because I think that's part of the, things that be accessible to people, right? Affirmations usually done by yourself in the mirror, or there'll be new age music or natural sounds, and that isn't what you always want to hear. I want to bop in the car to my and the radio. I don't really want to sit and listen to 543 hertz all the time, right?
Yeah, right.
For me. But that ain't where my mind at. And sadly,
Right.
sometimes my mind overrides certain things. So, but this is a beautiful, not even alternative, addition, right? To how we can tap into ourselves and really feel aligned and affirmed and loved and seen, right? Because I think what really is great with the music is people feel seen.
Thank Yeah.
Because you speak to your peers, to us, right?
Yeah.
And so it resonates differently than just saying it in the mirror to yourself. Or, I love Mel Robbins. I love the new high five thing she's got going, right? But that music moves us, right? We are rhythmic people. So music with that is life affirming and that speaks into you, to your highest self. It's kind of like Earth, Wind, and Fire was, right? They specifically programmed their music to be life affirming. They were all like vegan and had massage therapists and Reiki artists and chiropractors on tour with them so they could be in alignment, so they could offer their highest offering. You know what I mean?
Oh, so you know music. Oh, you know what's up then.
I was saying that too, 102. But I think that is the same kind of vein that you're operating in, and you're giving us another tool. Because I turn from the music, from the radio a lot, because I'm like, oh, I want to hear that. I want to hear that. You know what I mean? Because I like the beat, but the words are like, okay, all right. And you can't tune out with so much sometimes. I mean, you can. I could take it back. You can. But there's moments in time where it's like, that just ain't gonna kid. That's not feeling good to me. And I don't want to listen to like, I love Lionel Richie. He's one of my faves. But I mean, I feel like that right now. I need to feel something, a little more bippity boppity. I said bippity boppity. Yeah, like I was 82.
Ivy.
But
No, but I get what your point is. I totally get it.
I think that's why I mean, it's beautiful music. I mean, like it jams. I said it jams again, dating myself. It's okay. But I think that it resonates so much with people because it sounds like we want to listen to anyway, right? But it feels good and it sounds good. It's by a beautiful person that is presenting us some great ideas about ourselves that we can feed into. It's kind of like, and I'm going to go back to Beyonce here. I think the difference between her and other artists of her like iconic status, when we listen to her music, we just don't like look at her. We actually feel like we have the same potentiality of being that amazing and beautiful, fine and sexy. We like live in it differently than say a Diana Ross or anyone else, right? We knew Diana was fine and fabulous, but we didn't feel like we too were that, you know what I mean? I think that's like something in the way her music is, it resonates in that way. And I think that you have that capacity of
wow, that's a beautiful. You said Beyonce, Diana Ross. Wow, in the same sentence of me. I take it. I take that.
Rock with it.
I own that. That's beautiful. I love those two women.
How do you craft your affirmations, and how do you help? How do you think folks, if they need to make something that's like really specific for themselves, should look at the process of creating affirmations for themselves?
I think the biggest thing is be in integrity with yourself. Be in integrity with yourself.
Ooh.
You know, you have to be authentic and honest when you're talking to yourself. I mean, think about if you're dating somebody and you just go up to them like, you're a millionaire, you're a superstar, you're great. It's like, hold on, relax. Like, you just got here. We just, whatever. It's like you're overpowering and over zealing compliments. It's like it becomes a little bit unbelievable. So when it comes to talking to yourself, that self-love language, it has to be honest. You can't just say, I mean, I won't say what you can't do, but what I suggest is not just say, oh, I'm a millionaire. I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm a millionaire. Say something like, I'm grateful that I'm more open to managing money in healthier ways today. I'm grateful for the money that I have. I'm appreciative for the money that's coming into my life through various avenues. It's more honest. It feels better. It's uplifting. It doesn't trigger any limiting beliefs around money. It's positive and it's uplifting. So that's one of the suggestions that I would give is be authentic, be honest, be in integrity with where you're at right now. It's talking to yourself in truthful ways.
Mm, that's really important, I think, because a lot of times, like you said, I'm a millionaire, I'm a this, and it's such a believability gap for people. They're
Yeah.
saying it, but their heart and their belly, this right here,
Yep.
can't get into it. And if
Yeah.
this can't get into it, your heart certainly can't, and your brain is definitely not there. It's just
Yeah.
worried.
You're not signaling anything about abundance when your heart and your gut is not in it. It's like you're just performing at this point.
Right. And that fake it till you make it is not real.
Yeah, it's not.
We've been told that for a while,
Yeah,
but it's
I
I don't
get
think
the point. I get the point.
yeah.
But yeah, you have to get real with yourself when it comes to talking to yourself in positive ways.
I like that. So when you say get into integrity, how do you suggest people actually begin to develop their own sense of integrity around what their wants and goals and dreams are, right? We have superficial, what everyone says is success, and we're all working towards these hustle grind, $1 million, $1 billion bitch goals, right? I meant
Mhm.
to boss, I'm sorry. In the um, but but you know, I think that we have these ideals of what we should be accomplishing,
Mhm.
but is it really what we need? Right. So
Yeah.
how do your affirmations, or how can they use them to really figure out what I really need is these 5 things. I don't need the jet, and I don't, you know what I mean? Like we think we need all. I got to be able to get a PJ, and I gotta get the Birkin and the Hermes. What do you really need? What makes you happy? What lights your fire? How do you help
Yeah.
people kind of see that? So then they can make affirmations that are in integrity and in alignment, because it really is something that will feed their soul and it feels really good. They can get into it and whatnot.
Well, these affirmations really they like put the mirror right here. The mirror is going to be right here. It's not going to be over here, real cute on the wall. The mirror is going to be right here, and you cannot escape it. So
Yeah.
when you're listening to my music as a lifestyle practice, I encourage people to take time to reflect and say, what do I want? When you listen to, No is Bay or Healing in My Heels or Money Worships Me, what comes up for you?
Mm.
What contrasts come up? What's exciting that comes up within you when you listen to the music? And ultimately, the question to ask is, what do I want? How do these affirmations inspire my truth in answering that question about what do I really want? What lights me up? If I don't know those answers, do I talk to a therapist? Who are
Mm.
my thought partners? Who are the people? Who are my allies to support me in discovering that? What
Mm.
are some 2 actions that go towards me getting clarity about what I want? Because this song that Toni Jones made just brought up a lot of stuff in me, and I need to unpack. You see what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
I encourage people what I'd like to call sacred curiosity, because it is sacred when you start asking questions about your inner world, because that's one of the most sacred things about you is your inner world.
Mm.
So again, I really encourage people to just ask that question, what do I want? And how did this music move me? What did this music do to inspire me questioning that? What came up in me? So does that make sense?
Oh, it totally does. And I love that you called it sacred curiosity, and understanding the internal is a blessed thing. That phrasing, I get excited about words. So that
Me
just
too. Me
like,
too.
ooh, sacred curiosity. Yeah, that I felt that.
Mhm.
When you talk about thought partners, I know that people have their friends, their family, but how do we curate personal board of directors or thought partners, like you said, that sounding board that everyone doesn't have, like the most well-balanced like group of friends currently, right?
Mm.
How do you define, okay, I can take this to this friend, but then for additional like reflection or counsel, maybe I'll talk to that auntie, not my mama and not my cousin, right? Like,
Mhm.
how do we help people start navigating their relationships? And it may be completely outside of who you already know. It may be you need to find a new crew, but how do
Yeah.
they, like, how do we help people find affirming, supportive systems, right? Like you said, the thought partners, that they can really learn to navigate themselves in this world better and be mutually beneficial and co-supportive, right?
Yeah.
With each other in community in a way that is helpful for everyone.
I mean, it goes back to, what do you want? What does thought partnership look like?
Mm.
I've come to find in my journey with the human family, not everybody wants that. Not everybody wants to go that deep with another. You know, sometimes people think that what you think about your own thought, like your own thoughts, is very personal and intimate, and it is. But do you feel safe enough to share that with another? And who are those people? So
Right.
I would say, what do you want in thought partners? You know, and based on what that answer is, would tell you if it's Joe, if it's Jim, if it's, you know, Tanya, or if it's Jennifer, is it mom, is it uncle? Like, you know what I'm saying? You get to gauge on who is aligned with that clarity about, what do I want in thought partnership?
Right.
Because, and do I judge everybody who's not, you know, meeting that expectation and standard for yourself, as far as what you know, your ideal thought partner is, you know. But I'll always be an advocate of having a therapist, because it was monumental for me, because for years I was just such an avid learner. Books, podcasts, programs. I was the one, like, you know, not buying bags, but I was going to spiritual retreats. I was trying to figure this thing out, you know. But, you know, all in all, I still needed a therapist. That was a real humbling moment where I was like, no, I need to unpack a lot of what's going on in me. And a lot of times I would, you know, borrow friends, borrow relationships to be that professional space, to hold professional space for me, when they didn't have the capacity or skill set or even enthusiasm to do that.
Right.
So
Yeah.
for me, I thought it's very kind and compassionate when you enroll into getting a therapist, because you're able to make yourself lighter for those you love, you
Mm.
know, instead of holding so much in and then bringing it to people who don't even know how to hold professional space for your inner world, you know. So essentially what I'm saying is that, you know, ask yourself what you want. What do I want in a thought partner? What does that look like? And let me take inventory of the relationships that I have and see who's aligned with that. If I don't have that, let me get a therapist to help me curate and start building that, because that is something that I want in my life. I want a thought partner, you know?
Yeah. And like you said, start with, maybe regardless of thought partner, still have a therapist, right?
Still have a therapist.
Yeah, I think that I'm glad that the world is shifting a bit for us around therapy and mental health,
Absolutely.
and encouraging other therapies and modalities that help lighten our stress load and our body,
Hmm.
how we hold things in it, if it's sound, if it's Reiki, massage, steam, you
Yeah.
know, sauna, whatever it is that helps you kind of release. But that therapist, I agree, is key in that
Hmm.
process, right? You can go to the
Absolutely.
steam and the sauna all day, but if you
Absolutely.
still haven't pushed through and helped organize your thoughts around and assess what you've experienced and get
Yeah.
tools about how to then learn how to respond and navigate, then it's
Yeah.
still gonna hold you back. No matter what you do, it's still gonna hold you back. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I think that's a wonderful tool for folks. Thought partners and therapists, boy, you might be
Our
out here.
partners and therapists. That's a recipe right there.
Plus some little affirmations over there. Come on. What are your favorite affirmations? What are your like most favorite affirmations that you are like,
um,
oh, these are the ones I need?
like ones that I use, or something from my songs, or a favorite affirmation song. What?
The affirmations you've created, your favorite, or it could be something that you adopted from someone
Okay,
else.
well, this is my personal one that I use. Is I create a life that I love, enjoy, and am proud of.
Mm,
From that place, I inspire other people to do the same.
I love it.
And the reason why that's my favorite is because majority of my adulthood, I created a life that other people enjoyed, other people were proud of, other people loved and benefited from. And somehow I found meaning in that, but not fulfillment and joy, you know? And so when I had a paradigm shift in, you know, what I want in life, it was like, oh, I want to create a life that I love, that I enjoy, and that I am proud of. And from that place, I inspire others to do the same, you know?
That's beautiful, because it focuses you on you, but you're still of benefit to others. It's not purely for selfish gain. You're
Absolutely.
still operating in your power of being a light.
Thank you.
Yeah, you are. You are. So when you are crafting these albums, do you have a specific goal? Like, okay, I want to help people with this particular issue on an album, or it could just be whatever kind of pushes through. Do you have like kind of a framework of how you approach the music you're making?
So based on the 5 projects that I have out in the world, when I look at that creative process or that intentional process, the number one thing was it felt good to me. It felt true to me. And that what was the other thing? Is not intentional, but it was, I guess, pure, you know, that it was just pure. Oh, this is what I wanted to say, flow. Like the process is always, what I've noticed about all the projects that I've done with this music is that I'm always in flow. It's not over strategized. It's not over planned. I have pockets where it is planned and strategized and intentional, but for the most part, I noticed that this gift, this talent flows better when I'm in flow, you know? Where I'm intentional at is how the music feels.
Okay.
What does the music sound like? Does it match the words? You know, I would say that with each project, it has its own unique process, which I'm really a fan of, because that makes me feel like whatever I do next, I can just be open to something new. You know, I don't have to be like, oh, I have to do it the way that I did it with the last. It's like, yes, each album, each project was a different process. So whenever I do my next project, I'm like, well, I wonder what this process is going to be like, you know? So I guess the continuity is the flow, you know, creativity. I know with this latest project, the Me versus Every Me self-love affirmation album, you know, me and my producer were intentional about covering a lot of base, technical wise, sonic wise, you know, wordplay wise, you know, challenging me as an artist, which was new territory for me, you know? And so having someone that is creating music with you that is that more that much intentional about the process and delivery was really fun for me. Because before it's like, I'm gonna hire you to get a beat and then I'm gonna see if this beat matches the vibe that I'm trying to create. Whereas like, oh, this process was more curation, more intention, more heart and mind, you know, so which I loved, but it was definitely a challenge, you know.
It sounds like he challenged you to increase your skill set in a new way, which is really great.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
We'll give him all that credit.
No, it was definitely that. Definitely increased my skill set. It was times, and you know, a little girl in me was like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna mess up. I can't do this," you know. And then it's like Toni Jones was like, "You got this, girl. You know, come on, let's go. You know, let's see where this can take you. You know." So it was a beautiful process. But all in all, each time I create a project, it's a different process, you know?
Yeah. I love that you allow for that and you're not holding on to something really prescriptive and have a framework and like, no, I have to do it like this. And, you know, you've created flow in your life. How did you learn to allow for flow for yourself?
And I'm gonna say, I have to agree with you. I love that about me too, because it's so long I've been so in control, or at
Mhm.
least I thought I was in control of
That part.
everything. Like
Yeah.
when I would do creative things, I'm in it all, and I still am to a certain extent, but I have released a lot of control in my life in the past 2, 3 years.
Okay.
And so how I do that, I would love to say I have this beautiful ritual, beautiful formula. But honestly, life, pain, trauma, like disappointment, self-sabotage just caused me to just be like, forget it. It's out of my, like, whatever, like, I'm just gonna have
Right.
to, well, I'm gonna have to surrender. I
Yeah.
don't have an option anymore, because when I try to control things,
Right.
there's resistance, and when there's resistance, there's conflict. There's all these things that are happening that are not, feeling great, or favorable to my ego, soul, and mind and body, and so on. So, for me, it was just life
Mm.
telling, it was just universe, God pushing me into a space of like surrendering that much more. Not that I've mastered it, but I've definitely pushed the envelope of being better at flowing and surrendering.
I love that. So for those that may have a question about affirmations or your affirmations in particular, is there
Mhm.
any religiosity? Is there any prescribed religion? Is it for non-denominational? Because I know sometimes like when we incorporate meditation or yoga, people are like, that ain't of the good book, or that ain't of the this. How can people kind of just learn to explore it and leave the worries about it not being for them or against their beliefs behind?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, the thing about it is that talking to yourself, it's like this. When you're married or you're dating someone or your child is listening to you, there's no religion or scripture to how people want to be communicated to. Like as far as like the style,
Yeah.
the way we want to communicate. There's no religion to that. There's no script, like it's no you gotta do it. Like, it's everybody wants to be respected, everybody wants to feel seen and heard, everybody wants to um have a term to share themselves in communication, even if they don't know how to, even if they don't feel like they have the safe space to do it. People want to be heard and seen.
Yeah.
So when it comes to affirmations, it's not about putting in the context of something religious. It's really basic. It's really practical. I want to talk to myself better. I've been bullying myself since I was in elementary.
Come on.
I've allowed the voices of the government, of racism, of things that happened 300 years ago to talk me into my identity and talk me into my present now being chaotic.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We hear voices all the time at home, on social media, from TV, from news. Messaging is happening all the time.
Yeah.
And so and a lot of that we can't control. But
Right.
right here, we got some power right here.
Mhm.
So all that energy we want to, put into the world of towards things that we can't control, we need to draw that energy back and say, let me manage and navigate and control the inner conversation that's going on in my mind and heart and body. So that's what affirmations is about. Affirmations goes back to what we've been talking about throughout this conversation. What do you want?
Mhm.
Do you want to talk to yourself better about money? Do you want to talk to yourself better about your body, about your future, about America? What do you want? And that's what affirmation is about. It's literally the language of self-love. And so, all the extra nuances and, confetti with this religion, that scripture, this and that. I mean, you can throw that on there. You can sauce that on the conversation, but really it goes back to, what do you want? How do you want to talk to yourself?
Right. That's simple. That's
That's
simple.
simple.
Yeah. how should folks incorporate affirmations into their life? Is it a daily thing? Is it morning? And then before you go to bed, how do people really make the shift or tend to use affirmations so they can make a shift and see themselves differently, feel differently? How have you seen, what's worked for you?
Well, I'll share what I do. And if it lands and resonates, rock with it. If it doesn't, try something else. Google about it.
Come on.
So first thing in the morning, I'm not talking about when I do this or when I, get up to brush my teeth. I'm talking about as soon as my eyes open, as soon as I'm conscious, I'm up, I'm saying things like, I'm safe, I'm secure. What do I want today? How do I feel right now? I'm just, talking to myself nice,
Right.
and I'm telling you,
it sounds like
what
you're
you say?
asking yourself, it sounds like you're asking yourself questions in addition to affirming that you're safe and secure, which is huge for us, knowing that
It's like affirming inquiry. You know what I'm saying? It's like, because when you first become conscious in the morning, we're prone to think about all the things we didn't do yesterday, all the things we have to do today, all the pressure and things like that. So because we're, many of us are becoming more conscious, we can use that newfound consciousness to make the choice of, declaring what type of day you're going to have, or what you want to say to yourself to counter the inner critic or the inner bully, And so I would say first thing in the morning, not just because it's healthy, but neurologically, you're more receptive of that right before you go to bed or right when you wake up. You're neurologically more prone to receive that what you're saying, to land in a true place so it can activate the emotional response to what you're saying, to where it feels more true. It feels more exciting, rather than you're being performative. I'm like, yep, I'm whole. Let me do these affirmations. I'm good. I'm prosperous. Like, you know what I'm saying? But when you do it as soon as you're conscious, right before you go to bed, your mind is receiving that on a subconscious level. I will also say I have this practice that I do every day where on my birthday, 4/18, my birthday is April 18th. So I have my alarm clock on my phone set for 4/18 every day. And it says smile. You can actually put an affirmation on there. I'm smiling at life, or, anything. So these are just practical ways and powerful ways to use affirmations on a daily basis. But again, I that is a suggestion. I always, I fundamentally believe that how you practice affirmations can be a custom thing, whatever it feels true to you, because the more it's aligned with who you are and how you move in life, the more it's sustainable. I never want people to just do it out of performing, I'm just performing consciousness. I'm performing positivity. It's like, it has to feel true. It has to feel like it's an extension of who you are,
Right. Yeah. And I think that's really important, because people think there's things they have to do. But does it really resonate? Or have you tried it and figured out a way that it can resonate for you? If you know it's healthy, like I know meditation is healthy, but boy, I ain't sitting down for 30 minutes. Okay, sit down for 2 minutes, right? How can you do it in a way that your body can then start to learn to understand and accept and then get excited about it? Like kind of that. So that's really helpful. I like that you shared that, because the birthday thing is epic, because we have reminders for everything, but let's remind ourselves to say something loving and supportive to ourselves. I love that. Yeah. And it's funny, we do it to other people, right? Every morning, taking my kids to school. How do you feel about yourself? What kind of day you're going to have? Okay, give me your I am words for the day, right? Or, I have them look in the mirror when they do it, when they're riding in the car. Or just we build into our day for others, but have we done the same thing for ourselves? It's again, returning to self that we talked about earlier, is they're returning to self. So that is amazing. What is next? Like, what's the next iteration? There'll be another album, but is there live events? Is there some other work, a book? As you said, your life is a film. What would you love to see your work the next place? Like, I'm listening to it, I'm like, this should be on this TV show and that TV show for placements. Yeah, right. But what is your next kind of what do you think is the next expression of your work that'll honor kind of what you're bringing?
I see a few things, okay? But ultimately, it's really like spearheading affirmation music in, into the mainstream,
Mhm.
because the mainstream has a lot of influence on the consciousness of humanity,
Yeah.
specifically social consciousness.
Mhm.
And so if affirmation music, self-love language gets into the mainstream arena, oh,
Mhm.
we gang, we're gang. We in the game for real. And so the ways that I would love to do that is through experiences, live experiences. For the lack of better words, I could say concerts, but I'm just not gonna do concerts. I mean, my manager and I have already been brainstorming and have partnerships with how we're going to lay out creatively how those experiences are going to be for
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
It'd be dope. And so tour next year.
Love it.
Um, Also a lot of lifestyle, merch, things that people can not just push play on affirmation music, but put it into practice. How do
Mhm.
you make affirmation a lifestyle? And so we have some creative, fun, beautiful, practical ways and tools and merch to actually make that happen for people. Or some other things. An album, I mean, we just released the album.
Mhm.
So we're gonna let that live and breathe for a while. And as you said, TV placements open for all of that. Media outlets, I'm here for it all. I mean, Facebook just launched, what was it, Metaverse?
Mhm.
Virtual world. I'm here for it all. Like I want to do a concert in Metaverse. Like, what I'm
I love
saying?
it.
Like I want to see, it's not about like, I want to make this happen. This is a goal. It's about just exploring and experimenting how far I can take this to reach the families and households, in the world. So
Yeah.
that's how I want to show up in the world. I just want to play and experiment of where I can take this affirmation music, um, in the world.
I love it. Well, and in the world, does that mean that your tour will travel overseas? It will take you a bit across the pond or
I
something?
mean, the way these numbers looking in Australia, I mean, they
Come
might
on.
bring me out there. Like, no, seriously, UK. I mean, it's beautiful what it's doing in the Netherlands, just all over the world. I just so grateful that I have a like global audience. But
Yeah.
you've got to start somewhere. So we want to start in major cities in the US. Definitely want to go overseas eventually. We want to, navigate this pandemic because we don't know what's going to happen with the travel, all the restrictions and things like that. I know some countries are still closed,
Mhm.
so we'll see for sure, but that's definitely a play that we want to make. But definitely doing the tour next year in the country.
I love that. I love that. The work that you're doing is really catalyzing kind of work, right? Because
Mm,
someone will see you and they'll be younger and they'll be like, oh, I can make music. It may not be affirmations, but it may be affirming, right? It may be more on the lines of an Indiari, right? When you think of how she speaks into brown people and people in general.
mhm.
Um, that I think is like a definitive part of your legacy. But what else would you love to see um, as you look at the work you're doing? And it's really, I don't know if we call it work, but it's kind of like your gift. Um, what else do you want to see your legacy, and what other things and kind of trails and pathways do you want to see that come from this kind of work that you're doing? Because you're opening a new pathway for folks, right? A new way to see themselves, to see work,
Yeah.
to see expression, to understand that there's so much goodness and light in yourself. So let's share that.
I don't know if this is the right answer, but it's the true answer. It's more personal for me. Like my legacy and my greatest art are my relationships. So whether it's my romantic relationship or my relationships with my nephew and niece, it's about how I live, you know, living off the land, you know, having, family and friends living on that land, you
Mhm.
know, me and my husband, best friends, my kids, or our family get to see what it looks like for partnership, conscious partnership,
Mhm.
Those are the things that when I think about legacy, and I think about making a mark, I think about my immediate world, my
Mm.
immediate community, starting with me. But when it
Yeah.
comes to my professional career, that's all play and fun. I try not to take that as too serious,
Okay.
but legacy building is, I mean, like I said, my greatest art is my relationships. And if I can impact, influence, and inspire the immediate people in my life by the way that I live, you
Mhm.
know, that's golden for me.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Especially as we understand how everyone is a taproot to greater community. So you being an example to the babies in your world, and showing them things that they haven't seen and the expression of how we communicate and relate, then that is how they'll relate to their friends
Yeah.
and their partners. So it's kind of, it all starts, it's like the tree, the little plant becomes the tree, the rings push
Yeah.
out, these concentric circles we live in. So I think
Yeah.
that it's an amazing expression of legacy that we usually don't hear, right? Usually it's,
Yeah.
oh, my kids, da da da.
Yeah.
But that work in terms of letting people live and feel and breathe and see an example of
Yeah.
someone through the
That's,
work.
yeah. If it's anything where my heart lives, is being able to show who I am in the way that I live to children, just to see that there's another way to adult. There's another way. We're not going to shame or judge the other ways to adult, but there's another way. And
Yeah.
I'm an example, and I got a whole nother gang that's an example of that. So, living in the intimate community, living off the land, that is something that's definitely my heart legacy, and how I want to be remembered as someone who lived their truth.
Mhm. I love that. That, you brought the children up again. I was toying with asking whether or not you do a version of affirmations that's more like kiddie centered.
Oh,
But
I
I
would love to do that. Are you kidding me? Heck yeah. That's definitely in the books for me. I would love to do something for kids, with kids. I
yeah.
can't do a kid affirmation album
Oh
without
yeah,
kids.
you have to hear their voices. You know what I
I
mean? Like
gotta
that.
hear, like, yeah, all their voices are too cute. They light every adult up. Like, we're gonna definitely do that. So yes to your question about kid affirmation albums.
Yeah, you gotta love it. Well, you are like always. Well, clearly we've known
Thank
that, right? For clarity, I've known her in real life for a while now.
you for a long time. You see me change over the years.
Little rotations, and I love it. Every one of them has been glorious. So, it's the beauty of the journey that starts with a great person, right? Like, so it's only going to get better. So
Thank
that
you. Appreciate you.
indeed, I'm so glad you were able to join us this fine day. I know you're busy, and your light is like shining and moving and grooving across this universe. And I'm glad that you have found this beautiful way to express and explore and then share that with folks, because it gives them permission to express and explore, right?
Yes.
And that is what folks need to understand and see. And we're looking forward to merch so people can live the lifestyle.
Yeah.
People think of things as like hard to access, right? Like, how do I get to that? Why do I practice it? What am I going to do? Give them tools, like the tool of the album, but then some other things to live with it. They can
Yeah,
rock with and take it with them on their journey and
we
share
get
with others.
absolutely. Well, I'm grateful to you and Rolling Out for allowing me to share how I show up in the world. It's so fun and just such an honor to be able to be myself, and people are saying, hey, join us. We want to share you with the people. So thank you so much.
And I love that you show up as yourself.
Thank you.
I think that it came out of another conversation we talked about, is that feeling okay to be yourself, and that yourself is enough.
It's enough. I can't believe how enough it is. I can't believe it. It's like, wait, why did I tell me this in elementary?
Right. I ain't got to do this other stuff.
No. Oh, right. But it's beautiful.
It is. It is. Is there anything that came up that you didn't get a chance to share, or that you knew before we started that you knew you wanted to share at some point, about affirmations, yourself, the journey, the work?
I just want to encourage everyone. I mean, there's so many different it's such a range of lifestyles people are living. And I
Mm.
don't know everyone who's going to see this. So I just encourage everybody to push play on the music because we are all going through a lot. There's a lot of changes that are going on in society, in our home lives, financially, just a lot of different things. We're waking up to realizations that we never were aware of before. You know, I read in the article about millions of women are not returning to work.
Yep.
And at least they know that, but what are they going to do? So people are curious, people are in uncertainty. And so I just encourage everybody to use this music as a comfort blanket, a tool and resource to be calm, you
Mm.
know, during this journey and this shift, you know, because like I said, there's such a range of what people are going through and how they're living right now. And affirmation music is a way to just, you know, partner up with a brighter perspective to have no matter what is going on in life.
Mm. That is a lovely parting thought. I thank you.
Thank you.
Toni Jones, our affirmation musician. I don't know. I think you might be the first ever affirmation musician. I mean, there's been affirmation things come out.
I'll take it. I'll take
Poppin'
it.
music. Yeah, we're gonna say the first ever affirmation musician.
I'm the first who coined it, so I'll take it for sure.
I love it. I love it. Well, beautiful one. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. We appreciate you, beautiful.
Okay.